The ProAct Know-How, brought to you by ProAct.
Hi, this is ProAct Sam from Living and Working Abroad. We've had a question, do I need to change my driving licence with Brexit? Maybe, and maybe it's the best thing to do. Let's have a look at what the rules are. Starting from the UK. With the UK, you have a driving licence and it lasts you to age 70. So once you pass your test, you've got rid of your provisional, you're on a full driving licence, it can last for 10 years at a time and last you up to age 70. And as long as you're resident in the UK, you can renew that. If you're an EU citizen, British people can renew they can keep their UK driving licence and drive throughout the EU without having to change that. And generally throughout the EU, the 10-year life cycle of each driving licence to be renewed, and 10 years and up to age 70, it's 3 years after that for medical checkup with elderly people. So it carries on, and that's a fairly standard practice throughout the EU. And so, on the face of it, an EU citizen doesn't need to change their passport at all. They could do, if there's a change of address and a UK person was going into the EU country like Cyprus, becoming an expat, changing address, they could voluntarily update their driving licence to a local one. The same EU expat going to the UK could voluntarily change their driving licence to the UK format. And that would allow them, that would still be an EU driving licence, still allow them to drive back in the home country and in any EU country indefinitely within the driving licence rules. However, Brexit is coming up and that's going to change everything. So if there's no deal, what a no deal means is that the withdrawal treaty is not signed, and therefore there's no transition period, and so the effective Brexit date changes. So with the withdrawal treaty in place, full Brexit doesn't happen to the end of December 2020, which is a couple of years' time. If there's no deal, then Brexit happens lock stock on the 29th of March 2019. After that time, British people in the EU and EU expats in the UK will become third-party citizens and no longer have the advantages of the EU agreement, common accord between EU members for driving licences. So what are the rules for an international driving licence if you're not an EU member? Bearing in mind with the UK, there are some recognised countries. I'm not referring to those here. We're specifically looking at Brexit or not Brexit. So there are some in-between countries. Let's just assume we're talking about an EU country now. Or non-EU country. So if somebody comes from a country like Brazil to the UK, they can use their driving licence from Brazil for 12 months in the UK without any additional test or any other arrangement. But by the end of that 12 months, they would have to do two things. They'd have to apply and obtain a provisional driving licence in the UK, which then means that they would have to take a test in the UK, even though they maybe have driven for years. So outside the EU, an expat coming into the UK or UK citizen going into the EU after Brexit would need to, at the end of 12 months, apply for a provisional driving licence and take a test in the foreign country. So this is quite a big potential situation for somebody from Brazil, from a third country coming into the UK to take their driving test again with all the theory and all the language issues, and as well as actually taking the test and passing that and the insurance implications for that. and this is potentially the situation that could happen to UK expats in the EU, if there's EU expats in the UK, if there's a no deal Brexit, that will apply from the 29th of March. If there is a transition period, then there's up to the December 2020 before new rules might be agreed, but otherwise the same rules would apply. That the foreign driving license, the international driving license, would have to be surrendered, a local provisional one applied for, and a new test sat in the home country. So the EU expat in the UK would have to then sit the UK driving test. This could be complicated and expensive, especially for somebody who thinks they're a good driver because they've been driving for 30 years. And as we know, that is not always the case, that they are a good driver. They could be the worst of drivers. And so what's the recommended solution? Very simple solution. If you're an EU expat living in the UK, change your driving license before the 29th of March, assuming there's no deal, to a UK one. Voluntarily change it to a UK one using your UK residential address. If you're a UK citizen living and working in the EU, in Cyprus, in Germany, Netherlands, in Spain, voluntarily change your passport before the 29th of March with your local residential address. That way you can change it under EU rules. You can get a full driving license which would be fully valid up for 10 years at a time, up to age 70, followed by 3-year medical renewals of your driving license without an additional test. So it's a top tip for expats with driving licenses to apply for a new passport in your local country before Brexit date. If there is a withdrawal treaty, that time is extended to December 2020 by the 29th of March 2019 if there's no deal. So that's our tip for today. For more information on Brexit, go to our website proactpartnership.com for family and business living and working abroad and relocating overseas. Lots of latest information on Brexit, as well as tax, wills and property advice for cross-border and down the generation planning for expats. I hope you found this interesting. If you have, share it with people that you know that might be interested in business and in your family, other expats. Ask us more questions and we'll get back and we'll give you those answers. Thanks for this question. We really appreciate our clients taking the trouble to find out a bit from us, and we'll see you around soon at our website at proactpartnership.com or on our Facebook page Living and Working Abroad, or YouTube page Living and Working Abroad for more information. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Bye-bye.
The ProAct Know-How, brought to you by ProAct.